Hello, trading has closed on the 24th of September 2024. We always start with our disclaimer, go over our calls, and then make our predictions. It's my trading plan for Wednesday, which is September 25th, 2024. Please remember, I can be completely wrong. Any trade you make should be made at your own risk. Every now and then it pays to remember my system gives targets. The targets are also support resistance areas, doesn't give entries per se. I would look for the pattern with the early high, that's this, and tomorrow should have the early low. We had some targets. Now there was an optional target of 5707.07. Now we gapped up, but this is going to print 95% of the time, whether you gap up or not. And all these targets are clustered at that red line, and that one printed. We had a 5706.99 target was an ultimate target, so you usually wouldn't have to wait long for it to print, but there was no time limit, and of course that printed. And we had a standard target at the same price. When you gap up, the time is off the table, but not the price. Doesn't mean it won't print today. It just means I can't say if it will or won't, but it did. So all these things printed. Here's the target. There's support under the target. Support doesn't have to hold, but it did. Here's what we said. We said unless we gapped up, the rules call for the targets to print. Now we gapped up. They still printed it. When it gaps up, it doesn't mean they won't print. It just says we don't know when. We also said there was a chance the idea for a sizable drop fails. I'm still waiting for us to break lower, and that still hasn't happened, and maybe it won't until we break lower. We can't really say. There is a new target for tomorrow, 5710.49. If we don't gap up smartly, that'll be my call. Early on, MEJT gave an ultimate sell signal. That worked. Now, not only did this satisfy the target, target was around 5707, that target was satisfied, this target was satisfied, and the system said this move wouldn't stick. Now, none of this, if you're looking over here, we're hitting new lows. The system is calling for support here and saying that this drop isn't going to stick. Now, unless you were bullish for some other reason, that isn't enough for me to take a long, but it sure is enough to talk you out of taking a new short, and it's enough to have you put a stop on any short position you might have. Now it says this whole rally isn't for keeps, and we're going to retrace to this line, 5710.49. It also says this move is false, would retrace, and that already happened. So this is resistance at this area when the target's hit. Now not only is that resistance, we hit a wall into the close in the last minute of trading, and this close is not only under all these highs, it's under the old high. This was a new all-time high, and you don't want to see the retrace when you hit a new all-time high. But all that can be rectified if we gap and take this high out early, because time doesn't run out until early tomorrow. So if we gap, take this out, we open up here. I know futures are down, but that doesn't tell us how we'll open. I mean, we could just keep on going, but if we don't take this out early, that's a negative response to a new all-time high. Well, Wednesday's pattern has a really low, regardless of where we open. Typically, it's a rally day with a final hour high, but if it's weak, more weakness should follow in days to come. We have a lower target unless we gap up smartly. The rules call for it to print. Now, the last minute saw a wall into the close, followed by a close under numerous prior highs, and if that's maintained at the open, it's a bearish pattern. Should lead to lower prices printing, even if we don't close lower. Normally, you'd expect gapping down, but when you hit a new high with that wall, you're only going to gap down half the time. The new all-time high makes me question my wave count. It could still be the right count. We could be making an expanded flat, but the longer we go without dropping, the less likely that becomes. At some point, you have to stop signaling and start dropping. And until we start dropping, there's always the possibility, the count I have, which is this count. There's always the possibility it's not the right count. I mean, you could have C equal to A instead of just a Fibonacci fraction of A. It doesn't change the general idea. So take things a day at a time. Here's my target, 57.10.49. It's usually a bullish pattern. If that's going to print, I'd be awfully suspicious of it not working unless it printed early. I mean, if that's going to work, you really want to see an early drop. It's not a hard and fast rule, but if we don't hit it early, I'm not so sure I'm going to wait around for it later in the day. It's a pattern with the early low, but if it's a big drop at the open, the normally bullish pattern can do a 180 on us. So we'll have to see how we open. Well, that's my target for tomorrow, and that's today's call.